Hi Floss Tube, my name's Dana and my channel name is Gemstone Stitches. I am so excited to be back and give you an update on what's been going on. I think my last update was in January. I haven't got too much stitching done. I've gotten some, but I've been busy doing FFOing and some other crafting along the way. So that's what I'm excited to share with you. So let's just get into it. I don't have a lot of time because soon enough everyone's going to be back in the house, and right now I have nobody in the house. Okay, the first thing I have to share with you is I have notes because there's so much that I'm not going to remember. Little House Needleworks, it's the monthly series, and it's something that I'm stitching every month in the month that I'm in. So by the end, I'll have the whole 12 months finished. And my goal is, like I said, to finish it in that month. So far, so good. Today is almost the end of April. So I have 3 finished and 1 in progress. So I've shown you January. Sorry, it's all crinkled because I have it on a big piece, and I'm gonna separate them at the end when I start to FFO. And then here is February's. So they use the same colors. Every 2 months they use the same colors, classic color works. So January and February have the same set of 6 to 8 colors, but they make completely different patterns. I think that's so neat. So February has snuck in some hearts in the house and up here for the A, and then there at the bottom, and I just love that red. It's called Cupid by Classic Colorworks, and I have it right here. It's just, it goes from really bright to a darker color. Love that. So that is February's. And then March, you can see, gets a lot brighter. And March, these are supposed to be completely purple flowers. As you can see, they look very pink as well, and that's the variation in the thread. At first, I was kind of disappointed because I really wanted it to be mostly purple, but you know, as you stitch, it's not that big a deal. And the yellow is also more of like a peachy color as well as yellow. So that was another surprise to me because the mock-up on the pattern is computer generated. It's not the real threads. So they don't show you any variation. I don't think I even have it up here, but, oh wait, maybe I do. No, I just have the pattern up here. But that's March, the cute little sheep and the 4-leaf clovers and the pretty flowers. That's not quite a great representation of March here in Vermont. It's still trying to be winter in Vermont, and very little bit trying to be spring. You can have some of those days pop through, but then it quickly goes back to cold, possibly snowy, sleety type weather. And then in April in Vermont, there's more spring days, but it's still very cold, and it goes in and out. Like it snowed on Thursday and Friday of this week. But then yesterday it was beautiful. So here's how far I am on April. Sorry, I have a string here for the umbrella. I should have brought the pattern up here so that you could see what it's supposed to look like. But there's supposed to be the word April, and then little flowers and a sun up here, maybe even clouds, I think. Flowers down there as well. But I'll show it to you next time when it's finished. I'm in the middle of the big umbrella, And as you can see, this is supposed to be the yellow all the way around, but like I said, that thread has a lot of peach in it. In fact, I think I have it up here. So it's sunflower. So you can see all the darker peach, but then it also has these bright yellows in there. I'm gonna try to do the sun only in the brighter yellow, or I'm going to try to at least have, maybe stitch it back and forth like this so that it gets either darker to lighter or lighter to darker. And then here's, this is called Heatherly, and there's a lot of purple in there, but there's also a lot of pink. So that's where I'm at with this one. I need to work on a couple threads every day to make sure that I do get it finished, because I have about a week left in April before May hits. So the other thing I did in February, I was trying to sneak in a holiday piece, a Valentine's Day piece. I thought I would have enough time to do all my plans plus small holiday pieces throughout the year, but I don't think so. I do not have all the time that I thought I might have. And what I started is, the whole pamphlet is called Here's My Heart by Sue Hill Designs. And I am stitching this heart right here. And it's called, let's see if I can get this in here. Something de rouge, or something in rouge. I would say heart in red is maybe what that says. I'm not sure. I had a few days left in February, and I thought, oh, I'll just finish that real quick. Start it and finish it. No, there's a lot more stitches in there than I expected. I am stitching at 1/1 on 25 count. It calls you to do it 2/2, but I want it to be smaller. And I'm also doing my own colors. So it is on Ash Rose Lugana. So here is my start. Little tiny stitches. And I'm using, I don't know if I already said, it calls for one color, but I'm doing it in two. The outer color, I'm using 3350 DMC, and then the more red color, the inside is gonna be 498. So they look very similar in person or on camera, but there's a little bit more of a difference in person. So this outer part is gonna be the pink and the inside will be red. That's my little start. It's fun to start things, even if you don't get very far in them. Then in March, I decided I needed to take a break from my rigid plans of doing my stocking and the monthly series, because I really wanted to get some FFOing done. I was inspired by watching Tina, Simply in Stitches is her channel. She shows all sorts of things on her channel, including cross stitch, but she also has a channel specifically for cross stitch. I think it's called Fancy Lady Cross Stitch. And she was showing finishes, and I thought, oh gosh, I just really want to get some of mine done and hang them up. So I went ahead and did that. My first one that I'm super excited about is Ornamental Joy by Country Cottage Needleworks. And there it is. This is the first finish or FFO that I've done where it's not in a frame like that. Or maybe I've done something else, but most everything I finish FFO is in a frame. And I really like, this is special to me for a couple different reasons. So first of all, I stitched this on 28 count lambswool linen in the called for colors, I believe. I don't know, I'd have to look back at my video. But the fabrics are actually the backing fabrics that I've used for my the stockings. So my daughter's stocking that I just finished, the backing fabric was this red, and then for my husband's stocking, the backing fabric was this green. So that's kind of cool that it ties in together. And then my mother-in-law, she always wraps Christmas presents like they could be in a magazine. She spends a lot of time on them, and they're beautiful with these bows that she ties herself, all different types of ribbons. And then you just unwrap them and it's like, oh gosh. So I try to save all the stuff that's on these Christmas presents because I could potentially use it for something else, and I did. So the hanger is this rope, gold rope. And then the bow is some ribbon that she had on one of the presents. And so I Googled how to tie a ribbon, a pretty little ribbon that is gonna look nice enough to put on a finished piece. And then I cut the little points on the bottom and singed them. So yeah, I really love this. Can't wait to put it up for Christmas. And then I also FFO'd, this one's called Home Sweet Home Homeward Bound Quilt Block, and it's on 28 count lambswool linen, and it is by Stony Creek Design, or Stony Creek Collection. So there it is. It's just a little 5x7 frame. Love this little guy. The little, lots of back stitching for the tree in the middle that goes around, and then the little neighborhood, so cute, and then all the quilt blocks. And there's even beads in the border. So that's a cute one. And then I did finally FFO'd my Home Oven Needleworker 2. This is by Little House Needleworks, 28 count antique ivory linen. So this is just on maybe an 8x10 frame, I think. Use the call for colors on that one. And then the other one, I had gone to Hobby Lobby, and there's not a Hobby Lobby in Vermont, but there's a Hobby Lobby in Plattsburgh, New York, which isn't terribly far away. You can take a fun little ferry ride over if you want, or just drive the distance. And I really wanted to go to Hobby Lobby also because I had redecorated my son and daughter's room and wanted a few more items to finish out the wall decorations. And it was such a great trip to Hobby Lobby. I hadn't been there since I moved to Vermont, and it was like they knew. I had already bought the bedspread and a couple other things, and Hobby Lobby had the exact same decor I needed for my daughter and the exact same decor I needed for my son. And I left feeling so excited to not only FFO my pieces, but also finish decorating their room. They did not have the size frame that I needed for this piece, so I did end up ordering it online because I needed a 10x10 frame, and they only had 8x8 or 12x12. And this one is called Year of Flowers by The Drawn Thread, and it's on 32 count raw natural linen. And here is that piece. I have all these pieces, these last 3 pieces that I showed you hanging up in my front entryway with a couple other wall hangings, and it's filled out the wall really nicely. I'm enjoying walking by that wall all the time now and seeing the pops of color on this piece. So that was another FFO. Now the next piece that I have to show you is a finish, something I finished. I started and finished it in the same day. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm looking in the right spot on this camera. Maybe I'm supposed to be looking over there. I apologize if it looks like I'm looking off in weird places during this video. But I made an impromptu, not impromptu, a sort of planned, sort of last minute planned trip to Texas for some family circumstances. I needed to see my family, and they live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So when I arrived at the Vermont airport, I pulled this out and put the fabric on the Q-snap and started it in the Vermont airport, and I finished it right before the plane landed in Texas. So I thought that was really cool, and it felt so good to make a big chunk of progress on something, because I'm never able to stitch that much at a time, just because that's the season of my life that I'm in. So it was exciting to start and finish a piece in one day. And it is this. There's the charm on it. It says "Love to Teach," and it is a design by that person or company. I don't know how to pronounce that. But it's called Love Bits, Love to Teach. They have all sorts of patterns. It says love to quilt, love to whatever it is, love to garden maybe. And I got this one for my son's kindergarten teacher because she has mentioned that she's a cross stitcher and she's retiring this year, and she's just a wonderful teacher. So I thought, if any teacher that my kids have deserve my time on a cross stitch piece, it's gonna be her, because I just think she's a really great teacher. I used all the called for, well, no. I used some of the called for colors, and if I didn't have them, I just looked at my stash and I switched the red, the green, and then this border is supposed to be more of a gray color, and I chose to do it more of a blue color instead. And the charm says 2 + 2 = 4. And I'm gonna finish this much like, I'm gonna FFO it, much like Ornamental Joy. I'm not doing 3 layers. I'm gonna have a stitch layer and one other layer. So I need to go to Joann's and get a fabric that's kind of teaching related, young child related, something like that, to back it up in. And then I'm gonna just put a little hanger on there. And then potentially look at the charms, buttons, or beads to see if there's anything that I could kind of hang off the bottom of it. If I find something that's great, I'll do that. But if I don't see something, then I'll just leave it as is. I also want to be careful not to make it too busy looking. So the next thing that I started once I got back from Texas, I resumed working on, was my stocking for my daughter Tessa, called Holiday Glow Stocking. It's by Dimensions Gold. And, oh, I forgot to mention, this is 32 count raw natural linen, and it's actually left over from this piece. I had extra, so I have that much done, and then I could do another small up here if I want to. So feels good to use up the fabric there. But this next piece is Holiday Glow Stocking by Dimensions Gold. It's a kit. This is what it looks like finished. So Santa holding up a lantern with a cute little snowman and the bag of toys. My husband's calling me. I hope he doesn't need anything important. So here's how far that I am now. The last time that you saw it, I think I had all this. These are supposed to be trees, and down over here for the, he's wanting to know if I want any food. That's okay. I don't. Okay, sorry, interruptions. Over here done. And so I've been working on Santa, working on the lighter colors in his beard and in the fur, and then also these reds. So I just finished, I need to actually cut this off. This is a blend of a darker red and a brighter red. And it goes all around this lighter shade of red. You can see that. So my plan is to go back to the cream color, do something up in here, and then go back and do some more red until I'm through on this side of the stocking. Really enjoying that. And then I have some other crafty things to share with you. So I finally finished my daughter Tessa's baby blanket. Yay! I'm so happy to have this done because it's just tough to get things done. You think you're gonna start it and finish it before the baby's even born, and then before you know it, the baby's here and it's not done, and then you just have less and less time for crafting. But I finally finished it, and it is a design by Aviva Daniele called Feathers and Fan, and you can find that on Etsy. I believe it was free, but if not free, it was just a few dollars for the pattern. And here's what it looks like. This is all one color of yarn. It's just variegated, so it goes from light to dark. So you can see how it kind of does its own thing. So I really like that. I have not washed or blocked it yet. The kids have been enjoying their baby blankets downstairs on the couch. And I just haven't got around to even washing or blocking it, but I will do that. I really need to clean it up because it's been everywhere and all over the place for me to stitch it wherever I can grab a few minutes. And then the other thing that I do for my kids, all my kids, is make them a hanging baby mobile. And my daughter Tessa's room is basically in the same colors and half of the same decorations as Tinsley, who first had that room as her nursery. And for Tessa, it went from like more of a purple with a yellow accent color to a purple with pink accent color. So here's what I came up with. I wanted something with pom-poms, and I just have these wooden rings with the pom-poms hanging down with all colors of purple and pink in there. And I actually made these myself because I couldn't find really what I wanted as far as pom-poms and colors online. So I ran across something called needle felting. And basically, I brought it up here to show you. Basically, you get this wool that comes like this. You need to kind of spread it out. I won't do that right now, but you spread it out and then like put it into a ball the way you want it, and it's gonna come apart and be just this thing of fluff. But you try to get it as much as the way you want it, and then you take a needle Now first you protect your fingers because it's sharp with these little gloves that the kit I got came with. And you take your felt, and then they gave me all sorts of needles. This one has multiple prongs, but there's others that come with 5 prongs, 1 prong, whatever. And basically you just poke it multiple times. Poke, 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 poke. And every time you are poking the wool, it's kind of forcing the fibers in, and they're kind of connecting in there and sticking to other fibers to the point where eventually you'll have a ball formed that's not going anywhere. And you can get really, really detailed with these. You can do all sorts of stuff with them, make little tiny animals with faces and everything. But I decided to go super basic because that was my plan from the get-go. And then I really do think I'm supposed to be looking over here. That was my plan from the get-go, and I didn't want to spend a lot of time doing something super complicated because it was complicated enough trying to put it all together once it was done, like getting all the strings where they needed to be and tying them up. And I put little beads at the bottom to secure the string. And then from there, like the inner piece of wood had to go to the outer piece of wood, and then string it up and hang it up on the hook to go on the ceiling. That was the hardest part of all of it. But I'm super happy about that. And then to show you some other crafty things from my daughter's room, my mother-in-law and father-in-law made something for Tessa as well. And they previously made quilt hangings for Ethan and Tinsley. So I thought for sure that's what Tessa was getting as well. But then when they brought it and I opened it, I was surprised to see something different, which was this. She calls it diamond dot. It's actually, I think, officially called diamond painting. And it says, "Love you to the moon and back." And it has the purpley pink, so it goes pretty well with the room. And my father-in-law, he does woodworking, so he did the frame for it. And I'm actually the one who got my mother-in-law into this, because when we first moved to Vermont, we lived in their house until we found our own place. And I did my first diamond painting while I was there, and she got really into it. And that's kind of her winter projects, are all these diamond dot paintings. So that's what she made for Tessa. It hangs in her room, and it hangs above the changing table. So what was there previously was Tinsley's hanging quilt, and that moved into the other room. And so when I redecorated, I actually also hung up Ethan's hanging quilt, which I didn't have it hung up for a little while. And so when my stepmother-in-law saw the newly decorated room and saw both of the hanging quilts together, she felt the need to make Tessa a hanging quilt as well. And I'm really glad she did, because it is so cute. Like I said, Tinsley's room was previously mostly purple and yellow accents. And then Tessa's room became mainly purple, so I didn't have to paint the walls, with pink accents. But still there's some yellow left over from what I originally had up. So she made this hanging quilt. So it starts up here with these cute little buttons and goes first with a purple or a pink heart. Then we get to a yellow heart, and then purple. So it's perfect. So my father-in-law did the wood with these pretty hearts, all 3 different types of wood. He always finds, I don't even know what any of them are called, but he finds these scraps of wood and uses them to make these small little things, in this case hearts. So really, really cool. So that's first, and then the fabric has these little tiny colorful hearts. And then these are all little tiny squares pieced together. So that's a lot of work with this beautiful lace around, and then little buttons. And then the yellow has a different kind of lace with some orangey heart buttons. And then you go down to the purple, and it has a different kind of lace as well with the purple buttons, purple heart buttons. So it is super cute, and it's different from Ethan and Tinsley's as far as being long and narrow and like having its 3 blocks like that. Yeah, I really love it. Okay. The last thing I have to share is that when I was in Texas, I went to a cross stitch shop, and I got something that I've been wanting to do at a cross stitch shop for a while and haven't got around to it. And that was sorry, I'm looking for it. I have a mess up here now that I need to clean up. Oh, here it is. I've been wanting to replace the beads that come with this Northern Expressions needlework. They don't come with it. I kitted it up myself using the called for colors, and the beads, some of them were glass beads and some of them were more of a matte or metallic bead, and I wanted them all to be glass beads. So I went ahead and did I tell you already? The place I went to is called Creative Stitches and Gifts, and it's in Dallas, Texas. So I went ahead and I pulled up all the DMC thread colors that it calls for, and I pulled all those threads out, and then I went to the bead section, and they had tons of beads, and I just spent a lot of time matching the beads to the thread as much as I could. So for instance, what's called for is these are very metallic gold looking beads, and I replaced it with these yellow beads that are glass beads. So these are glass seed beads, and this one's called Magnifica glass beads. I don't know if that makes much of a difference. But another example would be like these orange ones are kind of a matte solid color, and these are like a orange, I don't even know what kind of color to describe that. They're looking a little darker and not as orange on camera as they are in person. And then like this one, for instance, was one of my least favorite of the beads that it called for, these matte green beads, and I got these beautiful sparkly green ones to go instead. And it just goes on. I could sit there and show you all the differences between what beads were called for versus what I ended up purchasing. And I went and spent a lot of money on beads. I was surprised at my total once I got to the counter. I was like, oh yeah, they'll be like $5 per pack. Maybe they were. There's a lot of beads there. But these beads, they're either Mill Hill or these Delica beads. That's what I got. And then I just picked up a couple different things. I got a snag repair tool, which I've been wanting for a really long time. It's like this pin or long, it's not a needle. Maybe it's just a long pin with the grooves in the top. So let's say you have some leftover thread trying to peek through to the front of your fabric, and you don't want that sticking out. You want it to go right back behind where it's supposed to be, but you can't get it there, you're trying your hardest. Well, this, you're supposed to be able to stick through the front of your fabric and pull it back, and it's supposed to catch that thread with the little grooves. So I'm really hoping that works and works out for me when I need it, because that happens to me every so often. And I got this measuring tape, because the fabric measuring tape that I have right now is just it doesn't have a case around it. So once you unroll it, you have to spend your time rolling it yourself. So I thought, I need one of those. And it's got blue bonnets on it, which is the state flower for Texas. I thought that was cute. And then I got these little scissors for traveling. They were just up by the register. They're teeny tiny, and this thing comes off. The cover comes off. It's rubbery and a little stretchy. And you got these little tiny scissors. I thought that is perfect for anytime I go on a plane and have my cross stitch, because I'm always worried, like, oh, are they going to see the scissors in my bag and stop me? They haven't before, but now I feel even a little more confident with it having this cover on there. Okay, so that is all I had to share. It is a lot. I have whips, FFOs, starts, finishes, other things besides crafting going on, purchases. I have been spending the last couple months just in my head thinking, ooh, I want to share this with Floss Tube, and oh, I should share that with Floss Tube. Sorry, my husband's home and my dog is barking. So I think that's a good time to end the video. I hope everybody is doing really, really well and enjoying the spring weather if you're over here in the US. I know I am enjoying those days, getting outside as much as I possibly can with the kids. Take care and happy stitching. Bye.